I just seen that I got 1.3 million streams on my remix for Something in the Orange by Bryan. So I'm gonna show you how I made this track. Why is it doing that, bro? Good again? F***ing Jesus. Alright, good afternoon, or night, or day, or morning, or wherever and whenever it is for you. You know what I'm saying? Meow. Alright, first things first, I grabbed the MP3 and used a sweet AI website to remove the vocals from the instrumental. I'll link this website somewhere in the description. Once I had the vocals split, I pulled them into my DAW, changed up the timing a little bit because they weren't really quantized, but I did want them to be quantized for this remix, so yeah, I just kind of aligned them and warped them myself. Dude, how many ads are there? I then added thermal by output to make the vocals a little bit more gritty and honestly just louder, slowly filtering them in for the intro, adding reverb and endless smile, giving them a feeling of air and space. It'll be fun about this cloud, I'm telling you, baby. Next, I found the chords to this track, then layered a serum preset of a respace that I love. I processed and added effects to my liking, using RC20, OTT, and EQ bringing the low end in slowly. Then an auto filter bringing in the highs, which I could have easily done using that EQ I just mentioned, but yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. I made this track 2 years ago, so don't judge me. I put Kickstart on it by Nicky Romero as a sidechain trigger for when the kick comes in the verse and the chorus. Nowadays, I do it manually using a utility, but back then I was using Kickstart by Nicky Romero because it was simple and I didn't really understand that I could manually sidechain it. For the verse, I wanted it to feel really large but without adding a bunch of elements, so I didn't take the attention away from the vocals. To do this, I created some chords around the root note and found a strings preset that I liked. Adjusted LFO1 and the macros for this preset, and added quite a bit of reverb on it to make it super large. I then took out the lows with an EQ8, then slowly brought in Endless Smile to arrow the strings, to make them feel as if they were disappearing. I then layered a sub under these layers for the verse, only leaving the sub in for a little bit of the build to create some tension and release. Place your hand between my collar and jaw. I don't know much, but there's no way at all. For the transition from the verse to the build, I added some simple short sweeps, then 2 long sweeps layered together. This added a super simple build-like effect, letting the vocals and respace really carry this build up to a simple kick and the vocal for a pre-drop, a quarter bar before the drop section. This makes the drop hit much harder when you're giving a little bit of space between the actual build and the big drop section. And I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. 'Cause if I say I miss you, I know that you won't. Okay, so this drop is honestly super simple, and I think that's why it did so well. And to be fair, when I remixed this song 2 years ago when it came out, it wasn't that big. But for the drop, it's honestly just vocals, drums, and a bass line. For the vocals in this drop, I took off thermal, used Endless Smile to make the vocal really aired out with a bit of reverb on it. Then I just sidechained it to the kick. I used the plug-in Portal to granulate the vocal, then resampled it into another layer to add a crystal-like effect under the main vocal throughout the drop, giving it a dreamy feel. For the drums, they're honestly super simple. Just a clean, high-quality kick and snare, with the snare having some reverb on it. I used Endless Smile once again to make this snare feel like a sweep in some parts. Get ready for this one. On top of the main snare, I layered another one on every second snare to add some variation. Then I brought in a clean hi-hat loop after 4 bars to add a little bit more variation before getting to what I like to call 1.2 of the drop. This part is where I usually add more layers or vocals to give it max amount of energy. But before we get there, I added a really gritty saw for the drop that takes right over. This is a serum preset that I made called Tronics Grit, which if you know who Subtronics is, that's self-explanatory. I processed it to get it as gritty as possible, then layered this on top of the respace and sub. Now you have the first part of the drop done. I flutter these layers creatively using an auto pan throughout the entire drop.
Are you struggling to make your music stand out, using the same overused vocals as everyone else? Introducing our Dreamer Beta Pack, a free vocal pack designed to elevate your tracks. Yeah.
Way better.
Fresh, exclusive, and ready to make your music unforgettable. Get noticed by labels and stand out in the crowds. Download our free beta today. Enter your email down below and start creating hits.
For 1.2 of the drop, I brought in the strings from the intro, but not fully, allowing the vocals to breathe. I then left those granulated vocals in for this part to add a unique texture, letting it reverb out while adding a small sweep to help transition out of the drop. Then letting the strings and bass completely take over, slowly leading into the break section that consists of just vocals and the sub bass. I used Little Altar Boy on the vocals for the second half of the song. This slowly adds a deeper tone to them by four-man shifting and shifting the octaves of it as the song goes on. For the break and second verse, it's pretty much the same as the intro, but this time I've added 2 layers of the snare and switched up the kick pattern.
Eat at your bones and drive your young mind crazy. But when you place your hand between the collar and jaw, I don't know much, but there's no way at all.
For the second build, I didn't want it to be a copy and paste feel, so I added a new atmosphere utilizing the same chords as the strings did, slowly EQing these in leading up to the drop, letting these and the vocals really carry, while they lay on top of the reese and the sub bass, while EQing the sub out slowly. I added a new layer of the granulated vocal and pitched these up for the build section, making it a slow euphoric 16 bar build, creating as much tension as possible, and stuttering this in up until the drop using Portal.
Cause if I say I miss you, I know that you won't. But I miss you in the mornings when I see the sun. Something in the orange tells me we're not done.
For drop 2, I wanted it to be a fake out so the listener was really put on hold for that dopamine hit. To do this, I added all the layers in with the vocals but leaving out the drums, slowly fluttering the bass layers in using an effect rack I made earlier in this track. Now for drop 2, again it's pretty simple by letting the vocals, bass, and drums take over for the first 4 bars, but fluttering the bass layers to be super creative with it. For the last 8 bars of the drop, I didn't want the vocals in there as much, so I prioritized the drums and added in that hi-hat loop and extra snares. I then added a quick snippet of the vocal, but cut it hard and added a bit of reverb for it to tail out. Then I added an 8th note chop on the bass line, while panning the bass layers left and right, slowly filtering out the drums leading to the end of the song. For the ending of the song, I brought the vocals back in, filtering them out slowly, doing the same to the bass line. This is draining the energy from the entire track until it ends.
Please turn those headlights around. Please turn those headlights
If you want to check out the full remix, I've linked it down below in the description for both YouTube and SoundCloud. And the free download for this remix is also in the description. I hope you picked up some good tips from this video. And if you want more helpful tips, check out this video. She breaks down her vocal techniques and shares a boatload of tips for producers and singers. If you want some free, royalty-free vocal samples, I've linked some in the description as well. Go grab those and have yourself a wonderful day.